Here's a hard truth. You are not the pawns, the knights, or even the queen. You are the king. And if you keep sacrificing yourself for temporary gains, the game is already over. Society convinces us to chase external validation, but Carl Jung's psychology reveals the real power lies in protecting your inner kingdom. Learn why internal clarity makes you untouchable. Imagine your life as a chessboard. Every decision, every relationship, every goal is a piece in motion. But here's the question most people never ask. Who are you in this game? You might assume you're a pawn, moving forward one step at a time, sacrificing yourself for others. Or maybe you see yourself as a knight, jumping through hoops to prove your worth. But the truth is simpler and far more consequential. You are the king. The entire game revolves around you. Lose sight of that, and nothing else matters. Most people misidentify their role. Take the corporate lawyer grinding 80-hour weeks for a partnership she doesn't even want. Her moves look impressive, but each hour traded for prestige weakens her position. Or the parent who stays in a loveless marriage for the kids, sacrificing emotional stability for appearances. These aren't small compromises. Every time we prioritize external validation over internal alignment, we're surrendering our king. Research shows the cost of this misalignment. A Journal of Behavioral Medicine study found people who suppress their needs for approval experience 23% higher stress levels. Another in Personality and Social Psychology review revealed those tying self-worth to achievements, like job titles or social media metrics, face disproportionate anxiety. The data is clear. When you act like a pawn, you burn out like one. The collapse happens because we mistake motion for progress. Consider the tech founder who sold his company for millions but can't sleep through the night, or the influencer with viral posts who dreads opening her DMs. They've captured pawns, status, wealth, attention, while leaving their king exposed. No amount of captured pieces matters if your core is defenseless. This mirrors how we mismanage time. Wasting hours on unnecessary meetings to seem diligent is like moving a pawn back and forth. It looks active but gains nothing. Saying yes to every request spreads your position thin, leaving no energy for strategic plays. The king's power comes from discernment, knowing when to hold position, when to sacrifice lesser pieces, and when to advance. Playing as the king isn't about selfishness, it's about sovereignty. Your mental clarity and values aren't just pieces, they're the rules of your game. The executive who blocks mornings for deep work? She's guarding her king. The artist who turns down lucrative but soul-crushing commissions? He's playing the long game. Ask yourself, are your current moves strengthening your position or depleting it? That extra weekend at the office might earn praise, but what's it costing your health? That toxic friendship you maintain out of obligation, is it worth the emotional toll? Every unaligned yes is a move away from center. Because here's the hard truth. When the king falls, the game ends. No amount of pawns can change that. So before your next move, ask, who are you really playing for? What happens when the king falls? The game ends. No matter how many pieces remain, promotions earned, followers gained, validation collected, none of it matters when your core is compromised. Picture this. A woman stares into her bathroom mirror after another 14-hour workday. The reflection shows a stranger, hollow-eyed, tense-jawed, wearing the face of someone who's traded sleep for deadlines, joy for approvals, and selfhood for empty wins. This isn't hypothetical. It's the high achiever with the corner office who dreads mornings, the influencer editing their life until it's unrecognizable. Research confirms the cost. A Journal of Personality study found tying self-worth to achievements increases stress while decreasing life satisfaction. Harvard Business Review revealed high performers often feel isolated despite success. External validation never stabilizes what's crumbling inside. Why? Because success built on self-neglect is a hollow victory. Each ignored boundary, each borrowed goal, each sacrificed night's sleep weakens your position. You might gain the office, the followers, the applause, but when you no longer recognize yourself, what's left? Recall your last moment of real peace. Was it hitting someone else's milestone, or was it saying no to what drained you? The sustaining moments aren't the impressive ones, they're the quiet choices to protect your sanity and values. Without these, you're just moving pieces on a meaningless board. Ambition isn't the danger. The trap is believing achievement replaces self-awareness, that busyness fills emptiness or applause silences doubt. Consider the executive working 80-hour weeks to prove worthiness. The praise never satisfies because the whole wasn't external. Or the parent who vanishes inside sacrifice, mistaking self-erasure for love. These aren't choices, they're slow surrenders. Each one brings you closer to checkmate. Your king isn't just a piece, it's the game itself. Remember when you last felt unsteady? Were you skipping meals for productivity? Ignoring intuition to avoid conflict? These aren't oversights, they're direct threats to your center. And when that center wobbles, everything follows. This plays out in daily decisions. Saying yes when you mean no. Pushing through burnout. Molding yourself to others' expectations. These aren't just bad moves. They're life-threatening mistakes disguised as necessity. No pawns can save a fallen king. No achievements replace self-respect. No volume of applause answers the whisper, "Is this really my life?" You can't win playing the wrong game, or play at all if you've sacrificed what matters most. Protection comes not in grand gestures, but in daily choices, honoring sleep over hustle, boundaries over approval, your voice over the crowds. The game rewards those who guard their center, because when the king stands, every move has purpose. Here's how the world works. It reflects back to you what you already believe about yourself. If you feel worthless, people will treat you that way. If you fear rejection, you'll find yourself in situations that confirm it. This isn't some mystical law of attraction, it's psychology. Your internal state shapes your external reality. Think about walking into a meeting feeling insecure. You might hesitate to speak up, avoid eye contact, or over-apologize. Others will pick up on that energy and respond accordingly. Now imagine entering that same room with quiet confidence. The difference in how people engage with you isn't coincidence. That's the mirror principle in action. Most people get this backward. They try to fix their circumstances without fixing themselves. Take someone stuck in toxic relationships. They blame their partners, but keep attracting the same dynamic because their unconscious beliefs about love haven't shifted. Or consider the person who lands a dream job only to self-sabotage when success gets close. The opportunity fails not because of external factors, but because their internal narrative, "I don't belong here," shapes their actions. Cognitive behavioral therapy shows our thoughts directly influence emotions and behaviors. If you believe, "I'm not good enough," that triggers actions like avoiding challenges or people-pleasing, which then create results that prove the belief. It's a closed loop. The mirror doesn't judge, it just reflects. Apply this to chess. Your king, your core self, determines how the board responds. A weak king, self-doubt, fear of judgment, leads to reactive moves, like a pawn pushed around. But a strong king, self-assured, grounded, strategizes with intention. The difference isn't luck, it's internal alignment. Here's the hard truth. If you keep seeing toxic bosses, unreliable partners, or financial struggles, the mirror is showing where your internal work remains. Maybe you tolerate disrespect because deep down, you don't believe you deserve better. Affirmations alone won't fix this. Acting from fear while saying, "I'm confident," is like painting over cracks. Real change starts by confronting the beliefs that created them. This isn't about blame, it's about power. The mirror reflects two things: your relationship with yourself and your relationship with the world. Shift the belief: I deserve respect, I can handle challenges, and the reflection must change. Not overnight, but inevitably. Think of times you felt stuck. Were you demanding better treatment while still criticizing yourself privately? That's like shouting at a mirror. To change the game, change the player. Every decision stems from your relationship with yourself. Strengthen that, and the pieces fall into place. Changing the player isn't about forced positivity. It's identifying core beliefs. I'm unlovable, I always fail, and challenging them with evidence. The mirror reflects what you consistently focus on. Focus on the king you want to be, not the pawn you've settled for. Progress feels slow because the reflection lags. Today's reality is shaped by yesterday's beliefs. Stay loyal to the new identity you're building. The mirror will adjust, not as you expected, but as you needed. It's not your enemy, it's your teacher. The lesson? To change the game, change the player. Most people don't live their own lives. They live by someone else's rules, chase goals they didn't choose, wear masks they didn't design. This is the borrowed life, a game played on someone else's board. And it's exhausting. Think about it. How many of your decisions are truly yours? Not what your parents wanted, not what social media glorifies, but what you actually want. Take Sarah, a marketing executive who followed her parents' dream of corporate success. By 30, she had the salary and title, but spent Sundays dreading Mondays. Her story isn't unique. The Journal of Vocational Behavior found 60% of students choose majors to please family, not passion. The cost? Graduates stuck in careers that drain them, living lives that feel like ill-fitting costumes. Society's script is relentless. Education, ladder climbing, marriage, home ownership, all on a timeline. Social media twists the knife, flooding us with curated perfect lives. The average person spends 2.5 hours daily scrolling, absorbing staged highlights until their reality feels inadequate. Cyberpsychology. Research shows heavy users are 3 times more likely to envy others' lives. The tragedy? They're comparing raw footage to others' edited reels. Conformity breeds quiet despair. Studies reveal people who suppress their true selves report higher anxiety. Those seeking external validation, through likes or promotions, experience emotional whiplash. When applause dictates your worth, you're hostage to the crowd's fickle tastes. The borrowed life promises safety, but delivers confinement, like a bird in a gilded cage, singing someone else's tune. Consider the lawyer who stays for parental pride, or the artist who abandoned their craft for stability. These aren't compromises, they're slow surrenders. The paradox? This path offers security but steals freedom. You might avoid mistakes, but you'll never make your moves. Like chess pieces moved by another's hand, you occupy space without purpose. Breaking free begins with one question: is this my desire or my conditioning? The lawyer who quits to teach, the executive who opens a bakery, these aren't failures, they're reclamations. Research confirms those who align careers with personal values report 47% higher life satisfaction. The transition isn't easy. The borrowed life has clear rules. Deviate, and you'll face raised eyebrows and helpful warnings. But comfort isn't freedom. True liberation comes when you stop mistaking motion for direction. When you realize divergence isn't falling behind, it's stepping into your story. This isn't about rebellion, it's about ownership. The board is yours, the pieces are yours. But first, you must stop playing someone else's game, because the borrowed life will keep you busy, but it will never let you live. The choice isn't between security and chaos. It's between a scripted role and an authentic life. At some point, you'll stand at this crossroads. Follow the worn path with its predictable rewards, or carve your own trail. One leads to applause, the other to meaning. The move is yours. But remember, no one ever won a game they didn't choose to play. Internal clarity is your armor against a borrowed life. You know who you are, what you won't tolerate, and where you're going, because you decided, not because someone told you. This isn't arrogance, it's alignment, and it terrifies systems built on control. History punishes clarity. Rosa Parks sat where she wasn't supposed to, one quiet act of defiance that cracked segregation's foundation. Steve Jobs insisted computers should be intuitive when experts called it impossible. Society resisted them because clarity disrupts. It doesn't negotiate. A Journal of Personality study found authentic people face more friction, but also deeper satisfaction. The choice is stark: comfort or truth, rarely both. Systems thrive on confusion. Advertising preys on uncertainty, convincing you you're inadequate. Toxic relationships feed on ambiguity, keeping you guessing. But clarity removes their leverage. A manager can't bully you into overtime if you've decided your time matters. A partner can't manipulate you if you've defined what respect looks like. Institutions prefer confused people. They'll buy things they don't need, chase empty approval, and stay in shrinking situations. Clarity ends that cycle. Resilience research reveals why. Entrepreneurs with strong self-awareness outperform peers, even with fewer resources. Harvard Business Review. When you know yourself, failure doesn't define you. Criticism doesn't derail you. Compare that to someone living a borrowed life. One rejection, and they unravel. It's the difference between sand and stone. Society attacks nonconformity. Decline hustle culture. You're lazy. Set boundaries. Difficult. Social Psychology, Quarterly, found that deviants are ostracized even when their ideas are valuable. The message: fall in line or face consequences. But the real cost is conformity, slow suffocation in someone else's life. Clarity simplifies complexity. Without it, every decision is a debate. Should I take this job? Stay in this relationship? With it, the noise fades. Think of chess. Amateurs agonize over moves. Masters play with precision because they know their strategy. Clarity doesn't remove challenges, it removes hesitation. Here's the trap. People think clarity means having everything figured out. It doesn't. It means knowing your non-negotiables: integrity, freedom, creativity. Once defined, every decision aligns. You stop asking, "What will people think?" and start asking, "Does this serve my truth?" The borrowed life survives on dissonance, the gap between what you feel and what you show. Clarity closes that gap. When inside matches outside, you become untouchable. Not invincible, but integrated. Attacks don't land the same way. Cultivating clarity is excavation, peeling back conditioning to find what remains. Not who you're expected to be, but who you are when no one's watching. It's a lifelong practice. Every aligned decision strengthens your position. The borrowed life loses its grip. The question isn't whether clarity is worth the work. It's whether you can afford to live without it. Uncertainty isn't neutrality. It's vulnerability. The less you know yourself, the more others will define you. The world will resist. Let it. Resistance isn't proof you're wrong. it's proof you're awake. And in a world of sleepwalkers, that's the most dangerous thing you can be. Carl Jung saw the king archetype as self-mastery rather than dominion over others. Real power means controlling your thoughts, emotions, and actions, discipline over dominance, inner authority over external control. Modern society often confuses leadership with domination. Think of toxic bosses who scream or micromanage to feel important. They're not kings, they're insecure people wearing crowns too big for them. True kings don't need to prove anything. They command respect through integrity, not titles. Compare this to self-aware leaders, those who listen more than they speak, who lead by example. Research in the Harvard Business Review shows leaders with strong emotional self-regulation outperform peers by 30%. Jung's view aligns perfectly. The best leaders control themselves, not others. This applies beyond CEOs. The king archetype shapes how you handle stress, make decisions, and set boundaries. Imagine two people facing a crisis. One reacts impulsively, the other pauses and acts deliberately. The difference? Self-governance. Jung called this individuation, integrating all parts of yourself into a conscious whole. When achieved, you stop being pulled by competing impulses and act from your core. Modern culture glorifies external power, wealth, status, while ignoring the internal foundation. The result? Leaders who crumble under pressure, celebrities battling addiction, influencers masking depression. Jungian studies describe this as the shadow king, craving authority without the inner strength to wield it wisely. Look at political scandals, corporate misconduct, or failed relationships. Nearly all stem from the same flaw: trying to control the external while neglecting the internal. A true king doesn't need validation or obedience. Their security comes from within, whether leading a company or a household. This isn't selfishness. It's the oxygen mask principle, securing yourself first to help others. Mastering emotions means not taking things personally. Clarifying values reduces unnecessary compromise. Understanding purpose eliminates distractions. Jung termed this daily practice the work of individuation. Temporary rulers rely on applause, promotions, likes. Their confidence fluctuates. True kings draw power from an internal compass. Psychological research confirms this. People with strong internal loci of control, believing they direct their own lives, experience less stress and achieve more. Apply this practically. Facing a decision, ask, what aligns with my principles? Not, what will people think? Pause before reacting emotionally. These small acts build psychological sovereignty, governing your inner kingdom. Sovereignty doesn't remove challenges, but changes how you face them. A king makes hard choices, navigates conflict, and sets trends without chasing them. Mistakes happen. The difference lies in correction. A true king acknowledges errors, learns, and grows. Resilience research shows viewing setbacks as temporary, not defining, speeds recovery and long-term success. Like chess, life involves sacrifices. A skilled player protects the king, their core, above all. Some battles aren't worth fighting, some applause isn't worth earning. Sovereignty means clarity about what truly matters. Rule your inner kingdom first. Without this, external success is meaningless or destructive. With it, even small choices carry weight. You live intentionally, embodying stability in chaos. This isn't about dominating the board, but mastering your position on it. The path isn't more control, it's deeper awareness. The outer world changes. Your inner kingdom can remain steadfast if governed well. The lawyer stared at her case files at 2 a.m., realizing she'd spent a decade chasing victories that left her empty. That moment, when she admitted she wanted her father's pride more than the law, changed everything. Self-awareness isn't introspection, it's the foundation of every strategic decision. Without it, we react instead of act, changing jobs when miserable, leaving relationships when desperate, pursuing goals when envious. Survival mode isn't strategy. Research confirms this. Cornell University found people who reflect regularly make career choices with 37% less regret. The Journal of Personality showed self-aware individuals have 23% stronger relationships and recover from setbacks 40% faster. The data is clear. Knowing yourself isn't optional. Start with targeted journaling. Instead of, "How was your day?" ask, 1. What interaction today drained me? Why? 2. When did I feel most energized this week? Track these for 2 weeks. Patterns emerge. A Journal of Experimental Psychology study found just 15 minutes of this daily increases decision confidence by 29% in 3 weeks. Peter Drucker's feedback analysis method works equally well. 1. Write your expectations for any major decision. 2. Review actual outcomes 3 months later. The gaps reveal blind spots. Maybe you overestimate patience with bureaucracy or underestimate need for creative space. One executive discovered through this method that he consistently misjudged how much autonomy he required to thrive, leading him to restructure his entire role. Silence is your sharpest tool. Harvard Business Research found executives practicing 20 minutes of daily solitude improved strategic thinking clarity by 33%. Not meditation, just stillness. Like a chess player studying the board before moving, this space lets you hear your own thoughts instead of reacting to noise. When irritation flares at others, ask, "What part of me does this reflect?" The aggressive colleague might mirror your suppressed assertiveness. The needy friend could reveal your own unacknowledged dependencies. Jung called this shadow work. Integrating disowned traits reduces conflicts by 41%, according to emotional intelligence studies. Use psychometric tools as mirrors, not cages. Discovering you score high in neuroticism explains why uncertainty rattles you. Learning you're low in extroversion clarifies why networking exhausts you. These are patterns to navigate, not destinies to accept. The payoff? Intentional moves. The designer who knows she thrives on variety stops taking rigid corporate jobs. The executive who acknowledges his control needs restructures teams instead of micromanaging. Like chess masters, they conserve energy by protecting key pieces, their core values and strengths, while sacrificing less critical ones. Most avoid this work because truth reveals limitations, but consider the cost. Years wasted on mismatched pursuits, relationships, goals. Self-awareness cuts through that waste. Before strategizing your next move, assess your position honestly. Your king isn't your job title or others' expectations. It's the version of yourself that feels most alive when you're playing to your strengths. Protect that. Every move should serve your kingdom. That means no impulsive reactions, no decisions made from fear, no choices that betray your core. Most people don't play chess this way. They react to the board instead of shaping it. Someone criticizes them, so they lash out. A promotion dangles in front of them, so they abandon principles to grab it. They let circumstance dictate strategy rather than strategy dictate circumstance. Take my friend who accepted a soul-crushing corporate job after a layoff scare. The salary was good, but within months, he was drained and resentful. That's reactive thinking, prioritizing short-term security over long-term alignment. Research from the Journal of Behavioral Decision-Making shows such choices correlate with higher regret. Here's the fix. When pressured, pause and ask, does this align with where I want to be in 5 years? That filter alone prevents most knee-jerk mistakes. In contrast, proactive choices stem from self-knowledge. Consider someone declining a high-paying role that conflicts with their ethics, or leaving a relationship that looks perfect on paper but feels empty. These decisions aren't easy, but they're deliberate. Harvard research found people who made career moves based on internal alignment, not just salary, reported higher well-being years later. Intentional moves pay off, even when they're harder now. The key is detachment. Observe your relationships, career, and goals without feeling compelled to respond to every shift. When conflict arises, ask, is this battle worth my energy? Most people skip this step. They see a threat and panic. Discipline means pausing to evaluate whether a move strengthens your position. Chaos tests this. Under financial stress or rejection, the urge to react intensifies. This is where intentional players differ. They anchor to core principles. A Journal of Applied Psychology study found those who predefined their non-negotiables made steadier choices under pressure. Their secret? Deciding what mattered before the storm hit. Watch how people handle criticism. Reactive individuals crumble or counterattack. Intentional ones assess. Is this feedback true? If yes, they adjust without self-hatred. If no, they disregard without defensiveness. Research shows people with strong internal validation recover faster because they separate useful feedback from noise. Patience is crucial. Rushing leads to burnout and hollow wins. A UC study found those who prioritized alignment over speed reported deeper fulfillment. Society obsesses over quick results. Get rich fast, find love fast. That's pawn mentality. Kings think in terms of sustainable victory. At work, reactive employees chase every task to appear busy. Intentional ones focus on high-impact work. An Academy of Management Journal study showed employees who shaped their roles proactively had higher engagement. They worked smarter, not harder. In relationships, reactive people stay with diminishing partners out of fear. Intentional ones walk away from mismatches. Psychology confirms those who leave based on principle adjust healthier and form better future bonds. The difference? Who's leading, fear or purpose? Even grandmasters face uncertainty, but they don't move randomly. They protect their king above all. A king who reacts loses. A king who acts wins. Not by controlling outcomes, but by governing decisions. The board changes, his strategy doesn't. But what happens when clarity meets resistance? Here's why internal clarity makes you dangerous. You become untouchable. When you know who you are, approval can't bribe you, and rejection can't threaten you. This isn't arrogance, it's immunity. Carl Jung saw this power. Stop seeking validation, and you become a threat to manipulative systems. Advertisers sell by making you feel inadequate. Toxic relationships thrive on uncertainty, but clarity renders these tactics useless. That's why the world resists those who can't be controlled. Rosa Parks didn't refuse her bus seat to start a movement. She knew her dignity wasn't negotiable. Steve Jobs demanded intuitive design because he trusted his vision over industry noise. These people couldn't be swayed by pressure. A Journal of Personality and Social Psychology study confirms it. Those with strong conviction resist groupthink, even under social pressure. Jung was right. True independence is alignment with your own truth. Systems reward compliance. Corporations prefer promotion chasers over purpose-driven employees. Social media amplifies trends, not authenticity. Institutions prioritize order over sovereignty. Nonconformists get labeled difficult, even when their ideas add value. The message? Fall in line or face consequences. But conformity's cost is higher. Living someone else's life is slow suffocation. Resilience research shows why clarity withstands pressure. University of Pennsylvania studies found professionals with clear values reported lower stress and higher satisfaction, even in toxic workplaces. Their secret? Internal metrics. Criticism stung but didn't define them. Failure disappointed but didn't devastate. When your self-worth isn't tied to outcomes, you can't be broken by them. Most live reactively, chasing promotions when colleagues do, buying houses when friends do, adopting trending opinions. Clarity disrupts this. Imagine someone unmoved by bonuses or luxury ads because money isn't their motivator. Or someone defining success on their terms, immune to peer pressure. This terrifies systems that profit from predictability. The danger isn't defiance, it's indifference. Viktor Frankl found meaning in concentration camps. His captors controlled his body, not his mind. Malala Yousafzai refused silence after being shot. University of Maryland research shows those with unwavering purpose can't be radicalized or manipulated. Their North Star is ingrained. This isn't stubbornness. Psychologists call it flexible rigidity, anchored in principles but open to new information. A Journal of Positive Psychology. Study found people with strong values and curiosity had higher life satisfaction than rigid ideologues or directionless wanderers. They adapted tactics without compromising strategy. Backlash will come. Stop people-pleasing and you're selfish. Set boundaries and you're cold. Reject popular opinions and you're arrogant. Social psychology. Quarterly reveals groups ostracize nonconformists, not because they're wrong, but because they make others question their own compromises. Clarity simplifies conflict. Most arguments stem from insecurity. The coworker resenting your boundaries likely craves the same freedom, but fears claiming it. The family member mocking your path may envy your courage, but dreads judgment. Recognizing this changes how you engage. You stop taking pushback personally. The most dangerous person can't be bought, not with money, fame, or affection. Once you stop trading pieces of yourself, you change the game. Promises and threats fail when your worth isn't negotiable. Jung called this individuation, becoming so solid that external forces can't shake you. This clarity isn't a weapon, it's armor. You engage where it matters, disengage where it doesn't, and remain unshaken. The world will call it arrogance. Don't believe it. Protecting your core isn't selfishness, it's survival. In a game designed to distract you from yourself, survival is the most revolutionary act. So, what's the final move? The end game isn't about control, it's about freedom. Freedom from others' expectations, freedom from your own fears, freedom to play your own game. This is the real victory, the ultimate checkmate. Most people misunderstand freedom. They chase power over others, dominating the board, forcing every piece to bend to their will. But that's just another kind of slavery. True freedom is moving through the world without being controlled by it, making choices based on your values, not external pressures. Take Sarah, a corporate lawyer who left her six-figure salary to open a bookstore. She traded prestige for mornings spent reading with her kids and evenings curating shelves for her community. Or David, the tech engineer who quit Silicon Valley to teach coding at a rural high school. Their stories aren't about sacrifice, they're about sovereignty. Studies from the University of Rochester confirm this. People who prioritize self-determination over external validation report higher life satisfaction. The data is clear. Freedom comes from defining your own rules, not dominating the game. This freedom isn't flashy. It's the entrepreneur turning down a lucrative deal that conflicts with their values, the parent resisting pressure to push their child into a prestigious career. These choices aren't celebrated in a world obsessed with achievement, but they build lives that feel right. The misconception? Freedom means endless options. That's overwhelm. Real freedom is clarity, knowing which options align with your purpose and ignoring the rest. Chess grandmasters don't consider every move, they focus on the few serving their strategy. Stanford research shows people who make values-based choices experience less regret than those trying to have it all. It requires detachment from opinions, societal benchmarks, even past mistakes. The writer submitting work despite potential criticism. The employee negotiating better conditions despite backlash. A Journal of Personality study found authentic people report lower stress. Their self-worth isn't dictated by external forces. The final realization? You don't have to prove anything, not your worth, intelligence, or right to take up space. Think of people you respect. Are they constantly justifying themselves or living by their convictions? Confidence isn't loud, it's self-evident. This is Jung's self-mastery, not controlling the world, but governing your response. The king who knows his purpose never loses because he's defined victory on his terms. External circumstances may shift, but the core remains unshaken. What does this look like daily? Waking without dread because your life aligns with your values. Making decisions without agonizing. Facing criticism without crumbling. University of California research shows autonomous people share one trait. They've stopped outsourcing judgment. The board resets every day. Each morning brings new chances to play someone else's game or your own. Now you know the stakes. Every sacrifice of your peace costs more than it gains. Real power isn't controlling every piece, but protecting the one that matters most. The king playing for lasting sovereignty, not applause, can't lose. This isn't theory, it's strategy. Today's move? One small, deliberate step toward your own rules. Make it count.